wondered that whether a person can claim a copyright in a derivative work? Now the first issue arises, what is a derivative work? Derivative work is a work which is derived or taken from already existing copyrighted work. For example, if you are making a translation of the book in another language, then it amounts to derivative work. Secondly, if you are making adaptation of the work, even then it is called a derivative work. Now, to claim copyright in that work, two doctrines are founded by the court to decide whether a person can claim copyright or not. The first one is the steel of the brew. This doctrine is developed by the English courts and they focuses on the labor, skill and intelligence imposed by the person. Now, if a person has put a labor, skill and judgment, intelligence in the work, then a person is entitled to claim copyright even in a derivative work. The famous case of it is Walter versus Lane, 1900. In that case, the reporters made a shorthand notes of the speech and get it published in a newspaper. Now, the court held that the reporters have punctuated the speech, they made shorthand notes. Therefore, they imposed a skill, intelligence and labor. Therefore, they are entitled to the published speech, copyright over a published speech. Now, this doctrine was later on refused by the US and Indian courts late in 1900. They said that mere imposing labor, skill and judgment is not sufficient to claim copyright in a derivative work. If a person wants to claim copyright in a derivative work, he must put some creativity, some change in a derivative work which shows the originality or the creation which that person has made in the derivative work. Therefore, the second doctrine comes to known as a flavor of creativity. If there is any creativity in the derivative work which is different, which makes it different from the existing copyright work, only then a person can claim copyright in a derivative work. Otherwise, the answer is no. The famous case of the doctrine of flavor of creativity is Eastern Books Company and others versus MD Modak and another 2008 Supreme Court. Now, what happened in this case, that there is a famous journal, that is SEC, that is Supreme Court Cases Journal. Now, they filed a case against a person for the infringement of a copyright. But before deciding the issue, the question arises whether the journal itself can claim copyright on that work or not. Now, what SEC do? That they take a copies of a Supreme Court judgment from the registry, make them edited, they make formatting changes, they made they put footnotes of the cases referred by the Supreme Court. They write it in a certain manner, particular manner, so that it is easy for the readers to read it. Along with that, they also make separate paragraphs of the judgment, and each paragraph deals with a certain kind of fact. Now, this ensures that each paragraph deals with a particular fact, which helps the readers to understand it in a better manner. They also put their remarks, for example, they put partially opinion, partially dissenting opinion or dissenting opinion, absolute dissenting opinion, concurring opinion. So they gave a remark with regard to the judgment written by a particular judge, which helps to understand to the readers whether that judge is giving a concurring opinion or a dissenting opinion and up to what extent they are dissenting. Now, the court, while deciding the copyright of the SEC journal over the judgment, the court held that mere imposing labor and skill is not sufficient to claim copyright over the work. Therefore, if you are making simple changes in the judgment or making it a formatting, then irrespective of your labor and time, you cannot claim copyright over the work. To claim copyright over a particular work, you need to add flavor of creativity, which the court recognized that the SEC journal by segregating the paragraph which need a thorough understanding of the concept, and along with that the remark that whether the judge is giving concurring opinion or dissenting opinion is also brings creativity or originality in the given judgment, as it helps the readers to understand it in a better manner, which they might not be able to understand if they read the original judgment. Therefore, the court said that facts or the changes brought by the SEC journal which brings creativity in the existing judgment, that part can be copyrighted by the SEC journal. Therefore, the court applied the flavor of creativity and denied to apply the doctrine of sweat of the brow. Therefore, we can say that these two doctrines are important to ensure to judge whether a copyright can be claimed in a derivative work or not. But the recent application is of the doctrine of flavor of creativity and not the doctrine of sweat of the brow.